On March 16, 1911, in Günzburg of Bavaria, an angel was being born. But not an angel you're thinking, but an angel of death. The baby that was born was named Joseph. But why did they call him Angel of Death? If you want to know why, stay with us. Joseph Mengele, the person that has the name Angel of Death. Joseph was a good kid in school, and that is why he went to college and got a degree in philosophy at the University of Munich. Joseph's mentor when he was studying was Alfred Rosenberg. He was a Nazi ideologist, the person that pretty much came up with all the ideas that the Nazis did. And the idea of the Aryan race being better than everyone else was this guy's. But let's move on. Let's see what Joseph wants to do. Joseph didn't like the philosophy that he studied, and that is why he went to Goethe Frankfurt University and studied medicine. And 5 years later, he got a degree in physical anthropology. Physical anthropology is basically studying humans and how we evolved, and you could say evolution is part of this subject. This subject really fit Joseph because he really liked working on people. Joseph, just like his mentor, which created the Nazi regime, entered the SS and worked as a medical professional in the Nazi army. After a few years of working, World War II had begun. And they sent Joseph to the Eastern Front, and he worked as a medical professional. But then Joseph gets hurt. After that, they sent him back so he can work in a laboratory and study the human genome and get to know humans better. Something Joseph really loved. Every day Joseph would show something new about him. He would invent something, he would figure something out, and really did his job. And that is why his bosses told him to go to Auschwitz. Over there, they need people like you. Joseph said, I want to work in a laboratory. They said, there's a lab over there, and there are countless people you can run experiments on. Auschwitz was a hellhole that they called a camp. Auschwitz concentration camp. Right now, it's located in Poland. They say in a span of 5 years, 1.1 million people were killed. If you divide that number to days, it means 600 plus people were dying each day. When Joseph went to Auschwitz, he had a few jobs. One of them was to pick out the prisoners. The people that have to be executed, send them there. The people that have to work, go to work. And the people that Joseph has to run experiments on, go to the laboratory. Nazis believe that the people that are in this facility are not good people and either have to work to death, be executed on the spot, or to get to know humans better, run an experiment on them. The prisoners were from 2-year-olds to 70-year-old people. The people that escaped this hellhole explained that when Mengele was choosing the prisoners to go to where, they would line them up and Mengele would whistle as he chose the prisoners. For his experiments, he loved to work on twins, and when a set of twins showed up, they would for sure go in the laboratory. Joseph was a hard worker and he did a lot of things. If we want to talk about all the things he did, this will be a 2-hour video. That is why we're going to talk about the famous things he did. First of all, the gas that killed most of these prisoners was basically invented by him. He basically mixed a few things together and came up with the Zyklon B gas. And as you guys already know, it's an extremely deadly gas. When they put the prisoners in the gas chambers and let this gas free, with no issues, everybody would die. And the saddest part is that when they wanted to gather the people to take them in the gas chamber, they would tell them, "Let's go, we're going to take a shower." The prisoners would get happy because it had been a long time since they took a shower. Then they would enter the gas chamber. One terrible experiment Joseph would do was to help the German soldiers on the Russian side. And he would freeze people. He would literally put them in a freezer and would run different types of tests to see if they can stand in the cold. They would get injected with all kinds of things to see if they can actually stay alive in that cold. Most of the time, they would die, either from the injection or from freezing to death. Mengele would not give up. One of his most famous experiments is changing eye color, and that is why most of the kids in this prison would be used for changing eye color. He would try all kinds of things on these kids' eyes. One of the things he would do, he would literally inject color into the person's eye. Before he even did this experiment, the person was pretty much dead. Most of the time, after injecting the eyeball, he would remove the eyeball from the person and go look at it under the microscope and to see what happened to the eyeball. He really liked working on twins that had different eye color. Those were Joseph's favorite experiment, and one of the things he wanted to figure out was how can Germans only have twins, but not any other race, only a German Aryan with blue eyes and blonde hair. Some of the prisoners that stayed alive explain, most of us would never see Mengele because we were busy working, but if nobody knew him and we saw him, we would think he was a nice guy because he was always smiling and really respectful, and he would always say hi and goodbye. But we didn't know that under that smile, what kind of a person is there. The weird part is that the kids that went for the experiments would love Mengele because before he ran experiments, he would become friends with the kids. He would give them candies and told them to call him Uncle Mengele. Another thing that Mengele liked testing was pregnant women. He would always be looking out at prisoners, and whenever he saw a pregnant woman, they would for sure go into the laboratory. More exactly, the operating room. An operating room where there is no anesthesia or painkillers. You can't even find one Advil in there. The bed was like one of those where you can tie the whole body down, so the person would not move an inch. They would even put something in the person's mouth so they don't hear the screaming. They would do all kinds of surgeries on these beds, all of them without any type of anesthesia or painkillers. Another experiment was to figure out how much pain a human can handle before it dies from pain. You kind of got an idea of what kind of a person he was. In a span of 5 years that he worked there, thousands of people were killed because of him, and not in an easy way, in an extremely painful way. More than 600 people died every day in this facility. If they wanted to bury all these people, it would not work out. And that is why they burned the bodies. And they would burn the bodies so they don't have to bury them. In 1945, the war was finally over, and Nazi Germany was surrounded. But the Allies didn't know that an angel is still free, and that is why Mengele left Germany for Argentina really easily. He changes identity and starts to be a carpenter in Argentina. He would anonymously work there as a carpenter until they find out who he is. But the chicken has escaped, they couldn't find him. everybody wanted to find him. Mossad was looking everywhere, but they never found him. Until in 1976, a random person had a stroke in Brazil, and when they saw his dead body, they found out who he is. But he was dead. But like any other weird story, there's conspiracy theories. Some people say that the US arrested these people, took them to get all kinds of information out of them, like what did you figure out about the human body? The conspiracy theorists say they got all the information they needed, and when they actually died, they made up a story. They say a guy was founded in Brazil. Either way, he's dead, and his name remains in history forever as the Angel of Death.